Hi, this is Mrs. Duncan, and we're continuing our study of Chapter 8, looking at the director's role and in a play. And without a director, it would be very unorganized. It wouldn't really come to life. It's super important. So last time we talked about all the preliminary things that a director does, all the study, all the analytical work and the creative work, and then it's time to have rehearsals. Of course, we've already by now cast our play. We know who's going to play what part, and so you have rehearsals. The first thing you kind of do, I mean, it's more complex than this. We could study it a whole semester, but basically is that you have to tell people where they're going to stand on the stage for their part. Now, the script will tell them when they're supposed to enter the stage, but not which side. Which side of the stage? How do they enter the stage? It tells them what to say, but it doesn't tell them where they are in the room most of the time. They can give hints. Sometimes it's specific, and we have to get that organized together. And so there's a tool. Let me shift over to the chapter where it shows the stage areas, and so we refer to these women. So if I'm standing there as the director, okay, I'm standing where the audience would be standing, and I would be looking up at the actors, and they would be on the stage. And if I said, hey, move to your left, they would move a different direction because they would be facing me, and they would move to the left center. Now if I said, come out and stand in center stage. So these are the stage areas, okay? And they are the actor's left or the actor's right. And downstage means closer to the audience, and upstage is further away. In the old days, the stages were actually tilted, and so you used to literally go down when you were closer to the audience and up when you were walking away. Most are flat, and now we take the audience and make them kind of at an angle, right? All right, so you see the grid there. You have center stage. I don't really have a way of really marking that here, but I'll blow it up a little bit more. Okay. And then if you're standing in the center and you're looking at the audience, then over here would be to your left center, and it's either up or down or just there still in the center. So I would say, okay, come enter from stage left, which would be over on, as we're looking at it, our right, okay, and then walk to center stage, say this line, and then walk over to downstage right, and say these other lines, okay. So that's how, and then exit stage right. So that's how you would give directions, and the actor would take those and write them in their book, their script. And we use little miniature, we use the abbreviations, DR for downstage right, SR for stage right, which is always stage center, and so forth, okay? Once they're standing, so that's how you establish where they're going to be. And pretty much as a director, what I was taught and I've seen done is that you have a page of the script, and then you have another page of the stage to make a director's book, and you do preliminary blocking ahead of time. You don't get there and make it up as you go, because that wastes everybody's time and it's disorganized, and it's not good. I also used to direct weddings, and it's a very similar concept. You're going to stand here and here and here and here. So you have that, but you keep it in pencil because sometimes it needs to be tweaked, or something doesn't work the way you thought it would, so you change it. But you tell them, and they write it in there, and then they practice that way. They know every time, so they don't go, oh wait, where was I supposed to stand? Because they're supposed to have written it in. Once they stand in that spot, and this is a bird's eye view, you want to also, you tell them kind of where they need to look. Should they look towards the audience? Should they look to the side? And so this position A is, they call it cheating a little bit, because they're talking to each other, these two characters. You see them there, but we need to be able to see their faces, so they have to tilt their body a little bit to quarter focus, quarter out focus. They have these different ones about sharing the focus, so it's a 1/4 turn, so that we can see both of their faces. Sometimes we want to give attention or emphasis or focus to one, and so that's what B is. B, the one that's the audience can see the best would be getting the attention, and you see the actor on the left is in profile position. So from the position of the audience, we only see the side of their body, and so all the focus goes on the person that we see more of. And you see how in position C, we change that up a little bit. Okay, so these are the things that you actually do as a director. You plan this out ahead of time based on the relationships and who is supposed to be having the focus, in that moment, okay, for various reasons and what you want the audience to see. And then we use these stage areas to communicate, okay, where they should go. All right. Then amongst that, let me make this bigger now that I've gone back and forth already. There's other things that we can do with the blocking to achieve focus, and this will be on your quiz, besides the stage areas and so forth, okay? One is contrast. Now we use a lot of triangles, and that's one of them is triangulation anyway, because it's more interesting than straight lines. But contrast is when you basically you pull one actor away from the group, and usually you pull them down stage, but not always. You can pull them up stage if you turn everybody around, but if you want to see everybody's faces, you're going to pull that actor, that character, away from the group, and they're going to be looking at that person, and even if they aren't, the audience is going to know, oh wait, they're by themselves, what's going on? So that gives focus to that actor, that character right there. In the triangle, okay, and we try to group things in triangles, not usually this spread apart. The actor that's farthest upstage in the center, that's the dominant part of the triangle, so that gets focus. If you want, you can have your other actors turn and face him or her, and that gives them even more focus. So that's another way. Levels are a great way to do it too, and if you've ever watched a group that travels, or if you just watch a play, look for how they try to take advantage of using things that are level. So we had UAB's theater tour group here before COVID, and they would have these heavy box looking things about the size of a trunk, but they'd be flat on the top, and they would drag them around. They were heavy enough that they could stand on them, but they were also light enough that they can move them around, and so they would function as a pretend chair or sofa, or even they could lay on them a little bit, be a bed, but they would use them to create levels, so they would stand on them as well. You can do that with real looking furniture. You can have you'll have set designs where they have a lot of steps or stairs, or they may stand up on a chair, things like that to get that kind of attention. They're trying to create levels. And so it's more visually interesting, but it also pulls focus. Obviously, someone who's standing up higher gets a little bit more of the attention, and then if you turn those other actors towards them, they even get even more. You can use a variety of these. So you've got triangulation in that bottom far right there, and then you've got some contrast where you pulled a few more others out so they get a little bit focused too. But you use a combination, and again, these are things that you have to sit down and think about ahead of time and know your tools and think, what do I want this scene to look like? Okay, it's all the visual elements. The words are already there in the script, but what's it going to look like? A play brings those words to life, and the actors are the characters, but the director governs that sort of holistic thing, and how's this going to look? Yeah, they do help actors with how it should sound and how they should, and coach them with their interpretation, but they're really, really, really concerned with how it looks, because we come to watch a play, right? And you already know the difference now from when you're reading a script and then following it along and watching it being performed. It's a big, big difference. All right, this is an example, real life instead of stick drawing. And you can see how everybody is focusing on the actor standing. So you've got some levels because he's standing and they're seated, right? That's one way our eye is drawn. There's some contrast in that as well. Then you've got the other actors seated ones, not only seated, they're looking that actor's direction. So without even consciously deciding, who should I be looking at, our mind automatically knows that we're supposed to be looking at the man standing with the red sweater on. But the director has to frame this up so that our eye goes where he wants it to go, or she wants it to go. Here's another one. This is using the triangulation. You do have two characters standing. One appears taller because he's closer, and you do have levels a little bit because the lady is seated. But you've got a triangle. You've got them. Now it's not the apex this time. The man in the mask is standing closer, but we know that's the focus because the other actors are looking at him. I think this is from a production of A Doll's House, which is a play that you should be starting to watch and read this week, actually. And so this would be Nora and Torvald and their friend Dr. Rank, and you'll get acquainted with them. And it does take place at Christmas in a Victorian setting, so I think that's pretty cool. All right, so the role during rehearsal, blocking, and we put all these things together to create stage pictures. Like, what is it going to look like on stage? And it should be able to be something that can be photographed and looks really good and is visually appealing, but it helps tell the story in the pictures. It conveys relationships. It tells us who's important and what we should be looking at and paying attention to, and helps frame how we think about it. Now, they're also, all right, so that's what we do there. That's the most simple things. We study it, analyze it, cast our characters, tell them where to stand on stage, and make sure they stand in the right way and look the right direction. But there are different approaches. So there are types of directors. You have interpretive directors. By definition, that means they are trying to do it just straight up traditional. You might call it traditional. They want to bring it from the page to the stage as accurately as possible, just like it was in its original, way. And that's what the play production that I had assigned of Oedipus, they were trying to do it old school, just like the Greeks did it, right? If you are trying to stick to the original way. That's not the only way, though. You have creative directors who do some really amazingly different things. They might make it contemporary. They might make it more conceptual and not realistic. Can't change the words, but they may put it in a fantasy setting or an abstract setting, or the setting might not even be, real pieces of furniture. It might be all kinds of things. So when they really create concept productions. So that one I was telling you about with Coupler, that was on the border. I mean, it was very conceptual in that sense, but it wasn't way out there. You could tell they were supposed to be in a London subway. I forget what they call them. I did know, but they did have some unusual things. Oh, the train was a character. That was what was really interesting. But that was written into the play by the playwright, and pretty cool. But if you did something different, so there is. If you go to this PowerPoint, it's in in our instructional materials with this video. You can get the link here and watch and see something pretty cool, and I think you'll really enjoy that. There are a lot of supplemental videos if you were like, I don't understand blocking, or that's cool, I want to see more. There's some extra videos. Okay, so we're finishing up. We're getting really close to the end here. Today, the trends are that they work together, they collaborate, a lot of collaboration. And so it's a lot more like what I did with Coupler a few years ago, where we collaborated with the playwright, and not from the conception, which means from the beginning. She'd already written and published this play, but we kind of reached out to her and just said, hey, what do you think of this? Is it okay if we do that? So being more collaborative is a trend today. All right, curtain call is always the sort of, let's bring it together. So the director takes their artistic vision and how they see and view this play. They have a vision for it and to a production. They have to coordinate dozens of the other theater artists, the designers, the people that are going to help bring it together. If you're in a small amateur setting, sometimes you have to play those roles as well. And I've certainly done that. Be the PR person, be the set painter, but I need someone else, to turn the lights on and off and to do the sound and stage managers and so forth. And you have to coordinate all that. They represent the audience during rehearsal by you're watching and seeing what the audience will see. And so you're always kind of looking and giving that feedback and tweaking things. And they bring everything together. That's what synthesize means. Bring it all together into a unique theatrical event. And there it is in a nutshell. I love the role of director. I hope that you understand it better, at least well enough, right, to take your quiz.